I think that, obviously we had planned until 15 minutes ago to start at a different place today. We saw this news, and because we've spent so much time talking about how contaminated the intelligence product is by Donald Trump's inability to hear anything about Russia, how perhaps weakened we are, and we're going to talk to former senior counterintelligence agent Pete Strzok in just a second. He's joining us to talk about his book, but the news doesn't change very often these days when it comes to Trump and Barr. But just talk about what's happening in the world as a top prosecutor, the top deputy to John Durham, steps aside from that probe.
Well, and this is on the heels of a whistleblower, a high-ranking whistleblower from the Department of Homeland Security, one of the higher-ups in the intelligence unit at DHS, now telling Adam Schiff at Congress, I tried to settle this internally, but I was fired for wanting to promote intelligence reports that told the truth about two things: white supremacy and Russian meddling in our next election. And so here comes a career person from DOJ working for John Durham, who now essentially is a kind of whistleblower in silence, meaning, she's quietly resigned because of her perhaps professionalism and not wanting to draw herself into politics. And now we find out, according to the Hartford Courant, it's because they're being pressured. This concept of pressure is a theme throughout the Trump administration. Whether you're a judge, whether you're a career prosecutor, whether you're an FBI official, whether you're at DHS, you are experiencing unprecedented pressure to do something other than the right thing. And I think that's going to be the hallmark of the Trump administration.
On that note, we are lucky to be joined today by former FBI counterintelligence agent Peter Strzok, a former member of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team. He's here to talk about his new book right here. We have it. I stayed up late last night finishing it. The book's called Compromise. But because you're here and because news has broken and because you write in your book about what you essentially describe as the malign influence of Bill Barr on the truth about the Mueller findings in that 2-week period before the report was ready to be released to the public. But when Bill Barr had plenty of time to spin it, it would seem that it is possible that today a career prosecutor, the number 2 on the Durham probe, has stepped down based on the same kind of influence from Attorney General Barr. Your thoughts?
Well, Nicole, thanks for having me. Look, it's deeply concerning. I think there's a pattern when you look at things with the Department of Justice and all matters related to both what Special Counsel Mueller did and that we did in the FBI. There are a replete list of prosecutors who have left the Stone prosecution based on the walking back of his sentencing, the prosecutors on the prosecution of Lieutenant General Flynn. And all of this comes against the backdrop of these dark whispers from the Attorney General about the investigations into 2016 being unmerited or spying on the campaign or based on a slender read. Look, I was there. I opened Crossfire Hurricane. I was present for conversations with the Director Comey, Deputy Director McCabe, and saw all the intelligence that we had and the assertions, the mendacious assertions coming out of the Attorney General that these were unmerited, absolutely are false. And so it's deeply concerning, particularly when you look at an almost 1,000-page Senate intelligence report laying out a host of counterintelligence concerns. It's absurd to think that this bipartisan report out of the Senate would represent anything other than the strongest evidence possible that the FBI was absolutely doing the right thing when we opened those investigations.
My question for you, Peter, draws on your ability to profile someone, and I guess it amounts to this: it's a Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee report that is 1,000 pages, that includes the most extensive look at the kinds of concerns that Andy McCabe has written about in his book, that you write about in your book. Basically concerns that the president could be compromised by ties to Russia that he didn't disclose and that he lied about. What on earth would the investigation and criminalization into the Russia investigation be looking for that hasn't been turned up by a Republican-led committee that looked at it for 3.5 years, by John Huber, who I think was the first U.S. attorney to look at it, by Inspector General Horowitz, who I think did 3 separate reports into it? What is Durham looking for?
He is looking for, I can only assume, something that the Attorney General has asked to use as political influence to chill both the past investigations and present those in a partisan negative light, as well as to cast a chill over anybody who might be thinking about doing something now or in the future. Look, I interviewed at length for well over 60 or more hours with the Inspector General. And what he describes in his report about the circumstances surrounding the opening of these investigations is exactly how it occurred. They were based in law. They accorded with our regulations. They were absolutely appropriate. And he turned everything we did inside out and upside down, and he concluded the same thing. So my only conclusion, when I look at how the Attorney General has been presenting this dark cloud on the horizon of these investigations, is it presents a political tool to try and A, discredit what was done in 2016, and then B, provide an easy talking point going into the election here in a couple of months.
You know, let me come back to you, Chuck Rosenberg, on this question of predication, which I think to a non-lawyer, a non-law enforcement person, I come to understand it as cause. Was there cause to look at these questions? And you'll correct me if I'm wrong, I hope, Chuck. But it would seem that Donald Trump and Bill Barr now have only given us more cause to worry about Russia, not the origins of the Russia investigation. What do you make of this departure of a high-level prosecutor, of the mountain of evidence that we now have of Donald Trump refusing to confront Vladimir Putin about something as sacred as the lives of U.S. soldiers, bounties that Russia paid to the Taliban, and the refusal in an interview with Jonathan Swan to say that he would bring that up with Vladimir Putin, and now another piece of evidence on the other side of that the investigations into investigating Russia are highly political?
Yeah, perfect question, Nicole. So let me try and answer it this way. Close your eyes for a minute, which isn't great for television, I know, and think about a world in which we have predication, as you say, cause or reason to open a case, and we did. And we know the Russians have attacked us, and we know the Russians intend to do it again. And we say instead of what Pete did at the FBI, oh, gosh, those crazy Russians, I really hope they don't try that again. Let's just give them another shot. Let's walk away. Let's close our eyes. Let's ignore what happened. It'd be like after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, hoping the Japanese don't do something like that again. That cannot be our response. And if it was, imagine, too, that there are moderate members of Congress in both parties, in both houses, who would go crazy if the FBI didn't take a hard look at what had just happened to us. We were attacked. We had reason to believe we were attacked. We had evidence. We had allegations. And so we have to open an investigation. To your other point, Nicole, those reasons, that predication, the cause for the investigation, have only gotten stronger over time as we learn more.
Yeah.
We knew what we knew at the time, and what we knew at the time was more than sufficient.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.